Let me ask you something. How long are you going to wait? Another month? Another year? Another excuse? Because the truth is brutal. Nobody is coming to save you. No mentor, no miracle, no perfect moment. If you're still waiting for motivation, permission, or confidence, you've already lost. This isn't a warm-up year. This isn't a maybe later season. No more waiting. This is my year. Most people stay broke, weak, and invisible because they are addicted to comfort. They say they want success, but they sleep in. They say they want power, but they avoid pain. They talk big, but they move small. And here's the hook. Life doesn't reward intention. It rewards execution. The world doesn't care how bad you want it. It only respects how hard you're willing to work when no one is watching. This year is different because the excuses are done. No more blaming your past. No more complaining about the system. No more hiding behind fear. Fear is just a signal. It tells you exactly where you need to go. Discipline beats motivation every single time. While others scroll, you build. While others doubt, you train. While others quit, you sharpen yourself into something unstoppable. Understand this. Winners are not born. They are forged. Forged by early mornings. Forged by lonely nights. Forged by doing what's hard when it would be easier to quit. If you want a different life, you need a different standard. Raise your standards and your life will be forced to follow. That's not inspiration. That's law. This is the year you stop explaining yourself and start proving yourself. The year your actions get louder than your words. The year you walk into rooms with confidence earned, not borrowed. You don't chase respect, you become undeniable. You don't wait for opportunity. You create pressure so intense that opportunity has no choice but to show up. Stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Stop telling yourself that tomorrow will be better, that next week will be the turning point, or that the right moment will somehow magically appear. Let me make this clear. The perfect time does not exist. The people who achieve greatness are not sitting around waiting for opportunity to knock. They are forging their own doors and breaking them open. Every second you spend waiting, someone else is moving, building, creating, and winning while you sit frozen in a cycle of excuses. The world does not slow down because you are unprepared, and it certainly does not pause to give you clarity. Waiting is a trap, a comfortable lie you tell yourself to avoid responsibility. You say, I'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow is nothing more than today with another excuse attached. The harsh truth is that action always beats intention, and desire without execution is worthless. You want success? Then stop hesitating and start acting. The moment you decide to stop waiting, everything changes. There's a reason people fail, not because they lack skill, not because they lack opportunity, but because they wait. They wait for permission, for validation, for circumstances to align. They wait for motivation to appear like a gift from the universe. And while they wait, life is moving on without them. Here's the hook. Every second of waiting is a second someone else is using to get ahead, to dominate, to transform their life while you are still contemplating. Waiting feels safe, but it is a trap disguised as comfort. Safety will never make you successful. Complacency will never make you powerful. The moment you embrace discomfort, the moment you act despite fear, that is when your potential explodes. The key to breaking free is understanding that action breeds clarity, not the other way around. You don't need a perfect plan, a perfect moment, or perfect confidence. You need movement. Start small, start messy, start wrong if you must, but start. Every step forward is a brick in the foundation of your future. Hesitation is deadly because it trains your mind to accept stagnation as normal. Action rewires why. Our brain to expect growth, to demand progress, to refuse mediocrity. It creates momentum that propels you forward faster and stronger than waiting ever could. You must remember this. The first step is always the most powerful weapon you have. Look around you. How many people are living lives they promised themselves they would have? How many dreams are buried under procrastination and excuses? Waiting has stolen more lives, more potential, more victories than any external enemy ever could. You cannot afford to be a victim of your own inaction. The moment you decide to stop waiting, you send a signal to yourself and the world that you are serious, that you are ready, that you are unwilling to settle for a life half-lived. That's the hook. The simple, brutal truth that most will never accept. Action is non-negotiable. Waiting makes you predictable, invisible, and replaceable. Action makes you unstoppable, visible, and respected. Every successful person you admire, every person who seems lucky, every person who achieved what you dream of, none of them waited for the stars to align. They created, they acted, they moved with relentless intensity. That is the level you must operate at. Stop waiting for clarity. Clarity comes from engagement. Stop waiting for confidence. Confidence comes from experience. Stop waiting for circumstances. Circumstances are irrelevant when your will is unbreakable. The harsh reality is that time is ruthless. Every hour you wait is lost forever. But here's the promise. The second you move, the second you commit, the second you stop waiting, you step into a different league of life. You are no longer a spectator. You are a player. You are a force. You are a person who refuses to let hesitation dictate the course of your future. Waiting is surrender. Action is conquest. Decide today that waiting ends now and you will never look back. Fear is not your enemy. It is your compass, your signal, your guidepost to greatness. Most people spend their entire lives running from fear, pretending it doesn't exist, hiding behind excuses and distractions, thinking safety equals progress. Let me tell you the brutal truth. Fear is a sign that you are on the right path. Every time your heart races, every time doubt creeps in, every time the voice inside whispers that it's too risky, too much, too dangerous, that is the exact point where growth is waiting. The bigger the fear, the bigger the opportunity, and the greater the reward on the other side. If you want a mediocre life, by all means, avoid fear. If you want a life of power, wealth, influence, and respect, you must learn to lean into it, not run from it. Here's the hook. Fear is universal, but winners respond differently. Weak people feel fear and freeze. They convince themselves it's a reason to quit. Strong people feel fear and use it as fuel. They turn the pulse of anxiety into the rhythm of action. Fear is not meant to paralyze you. It is meant to sharpen you, to wake you up, to tell you where the battlefield is. If you never feel fear, you are not pushing hard enough. You are not stepping into challenges that demand greatness. You are settling, and settling is the silent killer of dreams. If it doesn't scare you, it won't change you. Think about it. Every success story, every legendary achievement, every life that inspires has been built on moments where fear was front and center. The difference is the mindset. The difference is execution. The difference is refusing to let the trembling in your chest dictate your moves. Fear is simply a measurement of what matters most to you. It is proof that you are about to expand beyond the comfort zone that has kept you small for too long. And here's the hook that most people miss. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. Every second you cling to comfort, fear grows into regret. Every moment you embrace fear, you grow into power. You must reprogram your mind to see fear as a signal, not a stop sign. When you feel fear, that is the exact moment to accelerate. Step toward what terrifies you. Speak when your voice shakes. Take risks when the stakes feel high. The universe rewards boldness, not hesitation. Fear is temporary. Regret lasts forever. The people who refuse to feel fear may seem lucky, but in reality, they are disciplined, trained, and relentless enough to act despite it. That is your blueprint. Here's another hook for you. Fear is not something you eliminate. It is something you dominate. The first time you confront it, it will scream. The second time, it will tremble. The third time, it will submit. You build immunity not by avoiding challenges, but by facing them repeatedly, by proving to yourself over and over that you are stronger than the voice that doubts you. You will feel your body tense, your mind argue, your instincts resist. But each step you take is a victory over the invisible chains that hold most people hostage. Fear is a test. Every second you experience it is an invitation to evolve. The weak will let it control them. The disciplined will let it guide them. The ambitious will let it drive them to levels of achievement that once seemed impossible. The real question is this: will you let fear dictate the life you live, or will you use it as a weapon to carve the path you deserve? When you learn to embrace fear, you no longer chase courage. It becomes your default state. Every time fear shows up, it is proof that you are on the edge of your potential. Most people shrink from that edge, but you will lean in. Most people see danger, you will see opportunity. Most people stop, you will move faster, sharper, stronger. Fear is no longer a barrier. It is the signal that you are about to become unstoppable. Motivation is fleeting, fragile, and unreliable. It comes in waves, and when it leaves, so does your progress. That is why discipline is the backbone of every winner. Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who dominate. Motivation whispers, do it when you feel like it. Discipline screams, do it no matter what. You don't need mood or inspiration to achieve greatness. You need consistency, you need resilience, and you need a refusal to settle for anything less than relentless execution. Here's the hook. Motivation may get you started, but discipline is what carries you to the finish line when the world is pushing back harder than you imagined. Think about the people who accomplish extraordinary things. They don't rely on fleeting feelings. They don't wait for inspiration to strike like lightning. They build routines, systems, and habits that become unstoppable forces of progress. While others wait for energy, they act with precision. While others complain, they grind in silence. Discipline is what turns small, repeated actions into monumental results. Every early morning, every decision to stay focused, every moment you refuse distraction compounds into a power that cannot be ignored. Motivation gets you hyped. Discipline gets you feared. Here's the hook that most people miss. Your feelings are irrelevant. Your confidence is irrelevant. Your fear is irrelevant. What matters is your commitment to action every single day without fail. Discipline trains your mind and body to move even when the world tells you to quit. It turns exhaustion into fuel, failure into lessons, and resistance into momentum. Motivation is the spark. Discipline is the fire that consumes doubt and builds empires. If you want a life that commands respect, you cannot wait to feel like it. You must act because action is non-negotiable. Discipline also builds independence. When you rely on motivation, you are dependent on circumstances, mood, and external validation. When you rely on discipline, you become untouchable, unstoppable, and self-sufficient. You become someone who doesn't need a crowd to cheer, a mentor to guide, or a perfect moment to act. You simply execute every single day, no matter the obstacles, no matter the noise, no matter how inconvenient it feels. That is the hook. Success rewards the consistent, not the convenient. You must understand this. Discipline is forged in discomfort. It grows when you resist the easy path. It thrives when you choose action over excuses, practice over procrastination, and mastery over mediocrity. Every time you push through fatigue, every time you stay focused while the world distracts you, every time you choose the long-term gain over short-term pleasure, you are sharpening yourself into someone unstoppable. Most people avoid pain. Most people seek comfort. That is why most people never achieve anything remarkable. You, on the other hand, will embrace discomfort as your ally. The power of discipline is invisible at first. It does not give immediate applause, but over time, it compounds into unstoppable momentum. It trains your mind to expect results from action, not luck. It hardwires you to operate at a level that ordinary people cannot reach. And here's the final hook. Once discipline becomes your default, excuses cannot survive in your life. You no longer wait, you no longer doubt, you no longer hesitate. You simply act relentlessly until the world bends to your will. Discipline is the difference between those who dream and those who dominate. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is a hurricane. You don't wait for it. You create it. You don't negotiate with it. You obey it. And every day you choose discipline over desire, you step further into a life of unmatched power, achievement, and respect. Your life is the direct reflection of the standards you set for yourself. Most people live small, mediocre lives because they accept mediocrity as normal. They settle for average pay, average relationships, average health, and average influence because they never raise their internal standard. Here's the hook. Your environment, your friends, and your circumstances will always match the standards you allow yourself to have. If you want to change your life, the first and most powerful step is to raise the bar for who you are, what you tolerate, and what you demand from yourself. Higher standards are not a suggestion. They are the foundation of extraordinary success. Raising your standards forces change. It forces action. It forces growth. The moment you refuse to accept excuses from yourself, the moment you decide that good enough is no longer acceptable, the world is forced to respond. Opportunity begins to notice you, people begin to respect you, and doors begin to open, but only because you refuse to be average. The hook is simple. You cannot live above your standards unless you raise them first. If you want wealth, you must raise your financial standards. If you want fitness, you must raise your health standards. If you want influence, you must raise your character and your discipline to match it. Every area of your life mirrors what you demand of yourself. Most people fail because they measure their actions against the wrong benchmarks. They compare themselves to the crowd, to the average, to what seems easy or normal. But the truth is, the world rewards excellence, not conformity. Excellence comes from rejecting comfort and rejecting compromise. When you raise your standards, you create internal pressure that cannot be ignored. It's the silent force that pushes you to make better decisions, to work harder, to persevere longer, and to refuse anything that doesn't align with your vision. Here's the hook. If your standards aren't high enough to scare you, they aren't high enough to change you. Raising standards also reshapes your identity. When you demand more from yourself, your mind begins to accept that this is who you are. You stop thinking like someone who is average or lucky. You start thinking like someone who is disciplined, someone who is committed, someone who is unstoppable. Your actions become automatic reflections of that identity. Discipline, focus, and relentless execution are no longer choices. They become non-negotiable parts of who you are. People around you may doubt you at first, but the energy you emit, the results you produce, and the refusal to compromise will force even skeptics to respect and follow your lead. There's another hook most people overlook. Raising your standards doesn't just improve your life, it protects it. When you lower your tolerance for excuses, laziness, and distraction, you automatically remove the toxic influences and habits that keep most people stuck. You stop wasting energy on people, activities, and distractions that don't serve your highest purpose. You start operating at a higher frequency, where opportunity, influence, and success are inevitable consequences. It's not easy. Raising your standards means confronting weakness, fear, and resistance every single day. It means saying no to short-term pleasure and yes to long-term mastery. It means standing alone when others settle. But here's the hook that separates the winners from the rest. Every time you refuse to compromise, every time you insist on higher standards, you are leveling up in life. You are moving beyond limits that once seemed permanent. You are creating a life that is unstoppable, undeniable, and completely yours. Raising your standards is not an option if you want greatness. It is the law of achievement. You cannot ask for more from life while giving less to yourself. You cannot expect extraordinary results from ordinary actions. The moment you elevate your internal standards, your entire reality begins to rise to match them. You begin to demand excellence in every choice, in every action, in every relationship, and in every goal. The world cannot resist someone who refuses mediocrity, and neither can your potential. Opportunity doesn't knock on doors for the lazy, the hesitant, or the doubtful. It doesn't pause for the unprepared or wait for the perfect timing. Most people spend their lives waiting for luck to find them, thinking success is about being in the right place at the right time. Here's the hook. Opportunity isn't found, it's created. Every action you take, every decision you make, and every risk you embrace compounds into momentum that forces opportunity to appear. The world rewards those who act, those who move with purpose, and those who refuse to sit back while others take what could have been theirs. Waiting is easy. Creating is power. Action is the currency of progress. While others sit, scroll, and debate, successful people are executing. They are testing, learning, failing, adjusting, and advancing at every turn. Every time you act, you create leverage, build influence, and generate possibilities. Even small steps matter. Even small decisions matter. Momentum is not built in a single move. It is built in consistent, relentless motion. The hook is clear. Do not underestimate the power of action. One bold move today can set off a chain reaction that reshapes your entire life. Most people fail to recognize opportunity because they are passive observers. They wait for signs, approvals, or guarantees. They expect results without risk, validation without effort, and reward without struggle. The harsh truth is that opportunity favors the bold. It favors those willing to step into uncertainty and make things happen despite fear, doubt, or risk. Those who wait for clarity or permission never reach the heights they dream of. If you want to dominate your field, you must become a force that creates opportunities instead of chasing them. Here's another hook. Action attracts opportunity in ways that thinking alone never can. You may have the greatest plan, the clearest vision, or the strongest ideas, but without execution, they are invisible. The world doesn't reward planning, it rewards results. The people who succeed are not smarter, luckier, or inherently more talented. They simply act while others hesitate. Every email sent, every call made, every small step toward your goals is an opportunity being built brick by brick. Execution turns possibility into reality. The truth is, opportunity is rarely convenient. It usually comes wrapped in difficulty, discomfort, and risk. That is why most people ignore it. But here's the hook that separates the winners. The harder it is to take the first step, the more powerful the reward on the other side. Every moment of resistance you overcome, every obstacle you push through, every time you refuse to quit, you amplify your potential. Action does not just open doors, it builds them, it strengthens them, and it forces the world to recognize your presence. Creating opportunity also demands focus. Scattershot effort produces little. Intense, deliberate, and consistent action produces results. You must know what you want, understand where to act, and commit to moving forward with relentless energy. The world will test you, distract you, and tempt you to quit, but opportunity belongs to those who refuse to be distracted. The hook is undeniable. Momentum compounds, and the person who moves fastest while others hesitate will always gain the advantage. Every day you delay, every excuse you make, every maybe later you tell yourself is a lost opportunity. But every time you act decisively, boldly, and consistently, you create leverage that no one can take away. You become someone who doesn't wait for life to give them chances. You become someone who forces life to bend in your favor. Action is not optional. It is the law of success. Those who move create, those who wait stagnate. The difference between those who succeed and those who watch is measured in steps, not wishes. The world responds to action, respects execution, and rewards relentless pursuit. Stop explaining yourself. Stop apologizing for your ambition. Stop waiting for permission to take what you deserve. Most people spend their lives justifying their goals, defending their dreams, and apologizing for wanting more. Here's the hook. Every second spent explaining your vision is a second stolen from executing it. The world does not respect excuses, words, or explanations. It respects results. If you want to dominate your life, you must move with relentless purpose, letting action speak louder than any argument or justification. Success is not negotiated. It is claimed. Becoming unstoppable is not about luck, circumstances, or connections. It is about refusing to let obstacles, doubts, or critics dictate your path. Every time someone tells you it's impossible, every time life pushes back harder than expected, every time fear and uncertainty rise, that is the exact moment to step forward with intensity. Here's the hook. The more resistance you face, the more fuel you have to accelerate past the competition. Those who succeed don't wait for comfort. They thrive in discomfort. They don't wait for validation. They build their own empire. They don't wait for permission. They take it. Most people live life apologetically because they lack confidence in their own potential. They shrink, settle, and play small because society told them to fit into a box that was never meant for their greatness. You must reject that mindset entirely. You must refuse to compromise your vision, no matter how inconvenient it feels, no matter how many people doubt you, and no matter how long it takes. The hook is simple but brutal. Mediocrity is a choice. Greatness is a commitment. If you are unwilling to be relentless in pursuit of your potential, someone else will take what could have been yours. Action is the ultimate proof of commitment. You don't need to justify why you are ambitious. You need to demonstrate it through results, through movement, and through a refusal to quit. People will question you, mock you, and try to slow you down, but unstoppable people do not negotiate with resistance. They overpower it with consistency, intensity, and vision. Every bold decision, every calculated risk, every moment you push past fear and doubt strengthens your momentum and signals to the world that you are not to be underestimated. Here's another hook. Being unstoppable is a mindset first and a lifestyle second. It requires mental toughness, discipline, and a refusal to tolerate excuses in yourself or others. It demands that you make hard choices, stay focused when distractions abound, and prioritize long-term results over short-term comfort. The moment you accept mediocrity, you surrender. The moment you commit to relentless action, you command your future. The difference between those who dream and those who dominate is measured in hours, decisions, and the courage to take what they want without hesitation. Unstoppable people do not wait for clarity. They create it. They do not wait for luck. They generate it. They do not wait for approval. They become undeniable. Every action compounds into momentum. Every decision builds confidence, and every refusal to quit sends a message to the universe: I will not be stopped. Fear, doubt, criticism, and failure are no longer obstacles. They are tools to forge strength, resilience, and power. The hook is inescapable. When you refuse to be excusable, you become inevitable. Your ambition must be unapologetic. Your drive must be relentless. Your focus must be laser sharp. Stop explaining, stop waiting, and stop apologizing. Move with such intensity and consistency that the world cannot ignore you, that obstacles bend to your will, and that results speak so loudly that no one questions your presence, your power, or your vision. Being unstoppable is not optional for those who want greatness. It is the only path to achieving it. The moment you embrace it, the world is forced to recognize you, and nothing can stand in your way. So here's the closing truth. Write it in your mind and carve it into your habits. No more waiting. No more delays, no more excuses. This is the year you take control, the year you outwork, outlearn, and outgrow the old version of yourself. Stand up, lock in, and move with purpose. Because when this year ends, you won't be explaining what you could have been. You be living proof of what happens when someone finally decides, this is my year.